Chef Gurth Pretty once worked for Parks Canada as a nature interpreter when he realized he really wanted to cook for a living rather than roam around a national park. He became a top-notch chef who has a particular passion for cheese and its accoutrements. Gurth has a brain chock full of invaluable cheese recipes, tips, and tricks. It is my pleasure to welcome Chef Gurth Pretty back to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hello, Fanny.
So you traded deer and elk and big trees and moose for cheese.
For cheese, which is a living creature as well.
Of course it is.
Well, it's got all some sorts of good things, and I'm here with some amazing Canadian cheese from the 2011 Canadian Cheese Grand Prix, from the grand champions, some of the different category champions.
And what is the difference between an artisanal cheese and a plain old cheese?
They're all tasty, all yummy. Artisanal means that it's made in smaller batches, where maybe the milk only comes from a few farms, and also where the cheese is more available in the local area or the region as compared to maybe being available right across the country. But it depends on the company. So, because I'm happy to say that we have some amazing artisanal and artisanal farmstead cheese, meaning that they're made right on the farm, that people right across Canada would be able to obtain at their favorite cheese store or at their deli counters.
Well, apparently BC is right at the top of the list.
Oh yes,
some blue ribbons.
Several blue ribbons. The Canadian Cheese Grand Prix is hosted by the Dairy Farmers of Canada, and it's the Academy Awards for the Canadian cheese industry. Like, we even had Ben Mulrooney being the master of ceremonies at the gala last week in Toronto.
Alas, alack.
Yeah, it was quite fun to see him. You know, I've always seen him on television, now to see him live. And all the cheesemakers who were finalists from across the country, so 51 different cheese were finalists. Their cheesemakers were invited to be at the gala for, drum roll please, who is the champion in their category and who's the grand champion.
And what is the most popular? Blue or soft or hard or cheddar or
personally,
goat?
I believe still the most favorite popular cheese in Canada is cheddar. And we do make amazing cheddar here in the country. But the span of cheese being produced across the country now, the variety is just amazing. And that's what the Canadian Cheese Grand Prix is all about. It's to celebrate the variety of cheese being produced from Nova Scotia all the way to Vancouver Island. We have such amazing cheese.
So as a connoisseur of cheddar, how do you know it's a great cheddar, a not so great cheddar, a dry, a sharp, a what?
It depends, say, on your individual palate. You know, ranging, there's all sorts of different styles of cheddars, from the younger, mild cheddars. I personally am a huge fan of fresh cheddar curds, you know, squeak in the mouth because they're so fresh. But I also love the older, crumbly cheddars that are more sharp in flavor, of which we do have an example right here on the tasting board. This is Avonlea cloth-bound cheddar from Prince Edward Island, made in the traditional style, whereas you can see right here on the rind is actually the cheesecloth.
So it's a little crumbly, and you know, one thing we always try to decide is whether to eat the rind or cut it off.
And that depends on the individual person.
Okay.
Definitely in this style of cheese with the cloth right there, no, you can't eat the cloth.
Probably
Well,
not.
it'd be chewy, a little chewy. But the other styles of cheese, you can cut off the rind if you so wish. But for a lot of cheese, it has a lot of flavor. Case in point, let's talk about the BC cheese that won.
Yeah.
Well, actually, British Columbia dominated the category of the brie style.
Really?
All three finalists were here from British Columbia.
We've surpassed the French?
It surpassed the cheese from other parts of the country.
Okay.
So Island Breeze from Little Qualicum Cheese in Parksville won in that category, but Comox Brie and Comox Camembert made in Courtenay were the other finalists.
So the difference between a Camembert and a Brie is?
It could be a little bit in the sizing, but also in possibly the different kind of bacterial cultures that they're using.
Okay.
And a very small difference maybe in preparation techniques.
Do you have a favorite cheese on this platter? You probably can't tell me.
No, actually, I love them all. They're also fantastic. The naturally smoked Borencas won in its category, and that comes from Natural Pastures in Courtenay. So 2 BC cheese were champions.
Wow.
Both from Vancouver Island. The Fromage Suisse Le Maire from Quebec won in the Swiss style category.
And it has holes in it.
It
That's
has
how
the
we know
eyes,
it's Swiss.
exactly. The Avonlea cloth-bound cheddar from Prince Edward Island won in its category, but there's 4 or 5 different cheddar categories depending on how firm the cheese. My dad's favorite is this blue cheese here called Blue d'Elizabeth.
Oh, that looks like really good blue.
It's made by a family in Quebec with organic milk. And its sister cheese was actually named as the grand champion cheese, the crème de la crème, the best of the best. And its name is Louis d'Or.
Well,
the
who
golden
knew cheese
Louis.
had a sister?
Oh, well, these ones,
Yeah.
beautiful cheese. It comes, are you ready for this? It's made in a 40 kilo or almost a 90-pound wheel. And one brother takes care of the herd of cows. The other brother and his staff in the old church rectory make the cheese. And these cheese are available, these 2 across the country. Most of these cheese are available across the country. So what I do is I invite to your listeners, to your viewers, to go to their favorite cheese store or to the deli counters and ask for the champions. Look for this logo, for the blue cow symbol. And that identifies the cheese is being made with 100% quality Canadian milk.
Okay, and that could be sheep or goat
Only
or
cow. Only cow. This event is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Canada.
Okay, so no little goats allowed.
No, not in this competition.
But we do make some fine goat cheese.
Oh, there's
Golly.
amazing goat and sheep milk cheese as well as cow's milk cheese produced right across the country.
No kidding.
And for your viewers to see the listing of all the different cheese, all they need to go is to the website. All you need is cheese.ca.
Well, you tell me, and have always told me, never rewrap your cheese in the original wrapping.
That's
Still
correct.
believe that?
Very much so. The
Wrap
reason
it tightly.
Wrap it tightly. So say for the Louis d'Or, which has that wonderful little hazelnut flavor to it, first and foremost is you cut the quantity of cheese you're planning to enjoy that day. And then let the cheese warm up for a good hour and a half so all the wonderful flavors come out, reawaken from being cold in the fridge.
Sure. Don't keep your cheese in the morgue.
Exactly.
No.
Then, once you're finished with, you didn't eat all the cheese, rewrap it in this style of cheese, you should rewrap it at least in plastic wrap. It's because it does not need to breathe, like say the Island Breeze.
Okay.
These cheese still need to breathe, so it'd be important to rewrap them either in wax paper or parchment paper. Then, simple, close it into a resealable bag and put it in the fridge.
And if you get mold on cheese, like Louis d'Or, do you just cut it off and eat the rest? So you're not worried about that. Mold on any cheese, just cut it off.
Exactly. And if you're not certain, go right ahead and either scrape it off or, ooh, that's really not supposed to be that way. If you think there's a very bitter taste to the cheese, don't eat it. Go back to your favorite cheese store, your deli counter, and say, I think this cheese was a little bit off. I'll get some more, please.
Sure, or drink more wine, because I know you've done a beautiful book, Wine and Cheese Cookbook, with Tony Aspler, who is the wine connoisseur and the cheese connoisseur, and you come together. And I think it was you who made a lamb burger with dragon's breath,
that's correct.
Cheese, and paired it with a little Ontario Riesling. And it all worked out.
Dragon's Breath, a wonderful cheese from Nova Scotia, who did enter in the Canadian Cheese Grand Prix this year, but unfortunately this year he wasn't a finalist.
Okay.
But again, showing the variety of cheese. We had Tiger Blue cheese produced right here in BC from Poplar Grove Cheese Facility. I'm always amazed, astounded of the variety of cheese. This has been the second time I've been invited as a jury member, both for the 2009 and the 2011 Canadian Cheese Grand Prix, of the variety of cheese being produced. This cheese, the Louis d'Or, the Grand Champion, didn't exist in 2000. It was not yet available. This cheesemaker only started production in 2005.
Well, I hope you're not taking that somewhere, because I
we're
think
definitely
going to
taste
need a
it.
piece.
Oh, definitely.
Are we?
Yes.
Excellent. How nice to see you again.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Take
This
care.
is still in print, right?
Yes.
The Canadian Artisanal and Fine Cheese, the definitive guide to Canadian Artisanal and Fine Cheese by Gurth Pretty. Thank you.
You're welcome.